Welcome in to You Don't Know Ball Week 4 live pick'ems. We had quite the week last week, and then we had a good start, both 1-0 this week, both having Dallas over the New York Giants. I don't know, Dobbs, quickly talking about this game, it was kind of a snooze fest. Like, honestly, watching this game was okay. I don't like either of these defenses. CeeDee Lamb and Malik Neighbors are good ball players, and that was pretty much the gist of the game from what I saw. And Daboll's scared to go for it. He has to kick field goals all the time.
Yeah, no. I'll tell you two things here, Hunter. One, does this give you much confidence in the Cowboys going forward, at least immediately right now? Because it doesn't really help me, think that the Cowboys are going to have much of a resurgence here. I'm still very worried about the Cowboys. And number two, there's a little side tangent nobody talked about for whatever reason, but you know that play where unfortunately that Malik Neighbors got injured on the concussion.
Yeah.
Okay, my thing is, why did nobody, including the refs and the announcers, talk about the fact that Daniel Jones was like 4 yards past the line of scrimmage on that play? Like, if that was a completion,
Dude.
that was going to be like one of the worst officiating moments in NFL history.
I feel
But
like there's been a lot of that. Like, I've seen, even earlier in the year, I saw where passers were past the line of scrimmage, and then, I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but it's one of those things where it's you have to catch that. And it happened I want to say once or twice, and I was just it was glazed over by the announcers, it was glazed over by everybody, and the play just went on. I'm like, he was well past it. What are we talking about here? But yeah, I don't know. The officiating has been kind of a joke this year, honestly.
yeah, no, you gotta love the refs, right?
But let's move in to our first game. We have New Orleans at Atlanta. Atlanta is a 3-point favorite. So also, Dowds, I just want to drop this little hint of knowledge on you. I was doing some research just on how odds get set, and I was trying to learn basically how to figure out those graphs, those plot graphs where it's EPA by big time throw percentage, all that kind of stuff. And they were talking about they were doing how much teams win by when they're at home. And typically the biggest difference is a 3-point difference. So basically when a team's at home, they should be a 3-point favorite from default. And if they're less, they're not really the favorite. It's more of a pick 'em. So I'm going to go New Orleans here. I think for very obvious reasons, in terms of I need to see the Atlanta Falcons put it together full force. Yes, they've had some close games, right? They were close with the Chiefs, and they end up beating the Eagles. But I want to see them dominate a game. I don't want to see them be close in a game and win at the end, right? I want to see them dominate a full game.
No, and I totally hear you on that. And look, my thing is, Hunter, I'm going New Orleans as well, but let me be crystal clear. And this is just hand up, right? When I had made that pick, that was not seeing the injury report it is now, and this is coming from a Saints fan. I am concerned, truth be told, we have a lot of our star guys that either might not play or are out. But the bottom line is, it's Falcons week, the first one of the year. I saw that, I forget who it was, but I'm pretty sure it was Jesse Bates, or it might have been Justin Simmons, but one of them was saying, I think it was Justin Simmons, actually, I'm letting me correct myself, that he can't, they can't let the Saints leave with a W. Well, the Saints got to leave with the W, and I'm going to leave it at that, because if we don't, all of a sudden, landscape of the NFC South shifts dramatically.
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons right now are in the 20s for EPA per play on offense and defense. They just haven't been very efficient, and the Saints are 3rd on offense and 7th on defense. So, I mean, I understand it was a close game in Philly, and I understand there are injuries to the New Orleans Saints, but we also have to understand that Clint Kubiak had Lucas Patrick playing like a fucking all-star. So I'm hoping that the players that are filling in on the offensive line, that are filling in for the team, with the way Dennis Allen and Clint Kubiak have been running this team, are at least up to speed on what they need to do. So I'm pretty optimistic. I'm not as worried about the injuries in this game as maybe I would be last year, if that makes sense.
No, again, yeah. Again, when you got the whole week to game plan around it, it is different. And that's exactly kind of the thing with the Eagles last week, where I feel like it was more of an anomaly. We're going to see, though, to be determined.
Los Angeles Rams at the Chicago Bears. The Bears, again, like the Atlanta Falcons, are a 3-point favorite. I have the Rams. You have Chicago. Now, here's the thing. I don't believe in the Bears in pedigree games, right? Like, we talked about this on the show earlier this week. Matt Eberflus might be the 5th best coach in the division because Brian Flores is a defensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings. And the reality is what Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford, regardless of injuries, did to the San Francisco 49ers last week, the Bears are nowhere near as good as being. They're nowhere near as goodly. I don't know how to phrase it. As coached,
well, goodly. We can use that.
Goodly coached as the Rams. So my whole thing is here. Sure, it may be a tight game, and the Rams have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. But if it's coming down to 3 points, I am banking on Sean McVay's decision, allowing them to get those 4 points needed to win. So that's why I'm going with the Rams. I do think, and now we said this last week, the Bears offense hopefully should pick it up because the stuff coming out of the conferences in the press conferences in Lake Forest, not encouraging. Talk about having leadership meetings. Mercedes Lewis saying he wants to be coached harder by Shane Waldron. Like, this is week 3, guys. Like, week 3, like, some people took that as a positive. No, that's not a positive if you're having that in week 3 after you spent all summer with this coach. This is not a good thing, guys. So I'm going to go with the Rams. I think they ultimately win. I think it should be a close game, though. It should be competitive.
No, I hear you, Hunter. And everything you said, I do agree with. It is all problematic, and man, oh man, it does worry me that the Bears are in a pedigree game. But I'm going to say, look, I got faith in this defense versus still the dismantled offense. And then also vice versa. Like, this defense hasn't done anything all year, the Rams specifically. Again, if you're saying last week they stepped up. But look, I mean, the Bears should win this game on paper. So I took them. You know what? But every time I do that, the Bears end up punching me in the jaw and making me regret it.
That's why I pick against them. Every time I feel confident, they lose.
You know what? I haven't learned my lesson yet, but it is what it is, Hunter. I'm willing to ride with them at least one more time here.
I guess here's my thing. Here's my one thing in defense stops. You're picking them as a Saints fan. I'm picking them. When I pick them, I'm a Bears fan. So it just makes me look extra bad if I'm just picking my team and they're losing over and over again. It's almost like I have to go against the grain. Not against the grain, but I have to pick against them because, one, I don't fully believe in what they're doing. And two, if I pick them and they keep losing, I just look like I'm picking them just because they're my team. So, unfortunately.
Well, I felt that pain with the Saints before. I know that feeling.
Yeah. All right. Minnesota at Green Bay. Green Bay is a 3-point favorite. A lot of close games this week. You have the Packers. Why do you have the Packers over the Vikings?
So, again, to me, I know what the Vikings have been doing this year. I don't want to discredit them. No disrespect. I think they're doing amazing things, and I think they're going to continue to keep doing really good things this year. But, keep it short for me, Hunter. Look, pedigree game like we were just talking about, I still have more faith at this point in the Packers than the Vikings. And look, it really is. It's going to be – it's a coaching battle, right? It is. And I think the easiest way I could say it is, LaFleur. It's LaFleur versus my migraine.
Kevin O'Connell.
I'll say
and Brian Flores.
I was about to say McConnell. These I'm telling you, fighting through migraine is tough right now. LaFleur versus Kevin O'Connell. It's the bottom line. Like that is the matchup. That's how I'm viewing this game. I'm going to say, you know what? And like we talked about in the previous show, or like when we were talking about it was in our either biomes or overreactions. Look. I think the LaFleur's going to have some screens dialed in. I think they're going to have some blitz beaters ready. I think they've had enough time to study that tape, for that Flores defense, that I think the Packers will edge them out here slightly. And that's just how I'm looking at this game, right? That's my bottom line, Hunter. But you tell me what you're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually going with Minnesota. And Dobbs, I want to say props to us. This week we have a lot of different games. So last week it was more of the same, and I think that kind of led to similar record last week. You had a better record than me. Obviously, I'm 500 now. You are one game above 500. But with the way, I'm going to tell you what. If Jordan Love was healthy and for sure playing, I would probably pick the Packers at home. But with the way Minnesota has been dialing up the blitzes, now I do think out of any coach they faced, Green Bay is probably the one team that can probably break apart the Flores scheme because of Matt LaFleur, like one of the best offensive coordinators in the league. Well, head coaches, but offensive coordinator as well. And I don't know if Malik Willis is going to be able to overcome Brian Flores, similar to how Brock Purdy struggled against them, right? CJ Stroud struggled against them. Like, these are not, it's not, mid-range quarterbacks, right? Struggling against this defense. This is the top offenses in the league. And yes, it may not sustain throughout the whole year, but we're only in week 4. And Malik Willis, yes, he's had 2 pretty good weeks. But do you think he's going to elevate to the level above CJ Stroud and Brock Purdy to beat this team? I don't. I think the Minnesota Vikings somehow find a way to start out 4-0, which is insane.
No. Hey, I agree. But look, Jordan Love's still game time decision. With that on the table, I still had it. I got a little trick on my sleeve like Flus where I couldn't count him out just yet.
Can't count him out. Pittsburgh at Indy. Pittsburgh is a 2-point favorite. We're both going Pitt. This is outside of the New Orleans and Monday night game. This is our first game where we have the same. I mean, basically, if the Bears offense didn't shoot themselves in the foot multiple times last week, they should have won that game. Like, Anthony Richardson played pretty bad. And the Steelers defense is better than the Bears defense right now, right? So they're allowing, I want to say, like 8.6, 8.5 points a game. Anthony Richardson is going to be going through hell on earth. I think this is going to be a pretty rough game for him. And if Fields plays turnover-free football, if they run the ball, I mean, they stopped the run on the Bears last week, but I'm more putting that on the Bears than the Colts defense. They still have a lot of injuries to that defensive line. I do think that the Steelers might win this game by maybe 2 scores. I mean, and I'm not talking about like, oh, it's going to be like 17 up, but maybe 10 points, right? Like, I can see a 10-point win from the Steelers here.
No, absolutely. And yeah, just to keep it short, look, I'm taking the Steelers offense over the Colts defense, and I'm taking the Steelers offense over vice versa, taking the Steelers defense versus the Colts offense. I mean, they win both. They win both sides of the ball. They win the trench matchup. And I'll say this too, even the Colts O-line is fantastic this year.
Yeah.
But that Steelers D-line is still coming for them. And the bottom line is, look, we still don't have faith in Anthony Richardson to step up. Until he steps up, that's going to be the reality here, Hunter, and that's just kind of the bottom line.
Yep. So we have the Denver Broncos at the New York Jets. New York is a -8. I want to say, it says -8, but it might be -8.5. I might have put that down wrong. I mean, is it the Bo Nix show 2 weeks in a row? Like, what do you think, Dobbs?
I think, look, my thing is, Hunter, like we said, it's up to the Broncos to show us that it wasn't an anomaly. And I think the Jets are going to start to get rolling here. And to me, it's just that simple. I get why the line is the way it is, right? Like, and the Broncos defense hasn't been doing anything special this year. I know the scores haven't been necessarily the highest against them, but it's also kind of a combination of who that they've played, and it is what it is, right? I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come correct, and that's kind of just how it is. I think the Jets can win this game. Talking about another 2-score win. I mean, look, this could be another 2-score win easily here, and that's exactly why the line is the way it is.
I mean, I'll say this. I think coming into the year, Dobbs, after watching them play, our main concern was that the defense wasn't going to be able to replicate what they've been doing these last couple years. Well, their defense has jumped quite a bit in EPA per play. They're 11th now, and then on offense, they're 9th. So both sides of the ball have made strides to getting up to speed, and I can see both of them being top 6 units this year. I mean, if they keep going, if everyone stays healthy. So, unfortunately, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that was just a bad loss, and I don't see Denver picking up another win this week. But it's
no.
No. Because we talked about last week, and the Tampa Bay defense just has not been amazing. They've been around middle of the pack, and that's just how it's been. So we have Philly at Tampa Bay. Philly is a 1.5-point favorite. We both have Philly. This game is the one that I was the most uncertain about. I do struggle a little bit with the idea of looking at the Tampa Bay offensive line going up against the Philly defensive line, because if we want to look at the pass block for the Buccaneers, it is graded 18th, and the run block I know is pretty abysmal. I lied. It's 14th. But we know they haven't been able to run the ball very effective. And I don't know if that's, because of the
Hashtag give Bucky Irving the carries.
Rachaad White. I don't know if it's Rachaad White. I don't know if it's Liam Cohen. I don't know what it is. But unfortunately, the Bucs struggle on the ground. And Philly's defense was playing really, really, really good against one of the best offenses in football for the first 2 weeks last week. So sometimes part of me feels like this is a get-right game for the Buccaneers, and the other half feels like Philly is the more talented, put-together team, like they should win this game.
Yeah, no, well, I'm just going to leave it. I'll keep it short again here. Look, my thing is, Hunter, if Philly's D-line does anything similar to what they were able to do last week versus the Saints, they should be able to handle this game and just handle business, right? And again, it's just that, and you know me, trench warfare, right? Philly's winning the trench warfare, and on both sides. That's the bottom line. You win and lose games in the trenches. Philly should be able to win this game, and honestly, I think the line should be a little higher. I get maybe that what the Broncos did last week to the Bucs are looking to bounce back, and that's a favor here. And the Bucs are at home. I get it, but look, the Eagles should win this game. Bottom line.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 23rd in EPA per rush, and the Philadelphia Eagles are 3rd in run stuff rate, which is runs stopped for a loss or no gain. So that does not bode well for the Tampa Bay offense. Moving into Cincinnati at Carolina. Cincinnati is a 4.5-point favorite. You're taking Cincinnati. Why do you think the Bengals beat Carolina at home?
Well, just one word for you, Hunter. Desperation. Like, this team is desperate. And if they don't win this game, well, yeah, essentially, the season is kind of over in a sense. And look, when you're a pedigree team like the Bengals, I think you got to show up and show out. But to your point here, I'm going to let you get to it. Look, I know that the Panthers could show up and they have another week like they had last week on offense, and that Bengals defense plays how it's been playing. It's possible. It is very possible the Bengals lose this game.
I'm going Carolina. With the way that Andy Dalton played last week. Why not? Why not? That team looked good. The Bengals look like they're going to shit the bed this year. And the reality is, Joe Burrow said playoffs are the last thing on my mind right now. No, dude, that is the only thing on your mind, because you know that you guys should be making the playoffs every single year with this roster. The defense has not been good, and we saw what that offense could do with Andy Dalton and Deontay Johnson. And imagine when Jonathan Brooks comes back, their offensive line is playing well. They have Adam Thielen's on IR, I believe, right now, but they have a lot of offensive pieces, and their offense, when you look at it, is not bad, especially when you have a vet running the offense. Now, obviously, their defenses, we know what their defense is, but both of these defenses stink. Like, this should be a high-scoring game. I really do wonder what the over is, but I'm going to go Carolina, and I hope I don't look like an idiot. I don't know. Like, I go keep pounding.
Sometimes you got to keep the faith, right?
Yeah. Jacksonville at Houston. Houston is a 6.5-point favorite. We both have Houston. Why are you taking the Texans over the Jags?
I think little explanation here needed here, Hunter, but I'll keep it short again. Look, back to trench warfare, right? Like, the Texans are going to dominate this game on the defensive side of the ball, and on the offensive side, it may be closer than closer trench warfare in terms of the battle, but the Texans are a better team. The Texans are coming off of a bad loss. They're going to want the bounce back. I don't have any faith in the Jaguars. I think that's bottom line.
Dobbs, all you had to say is the Jags fucking stink. Like, they stink. Like, the Bengals stink, but the Jags, stink like shit. It's bad, dude. Like,
they're getting close to NFL on the tier list. We didn't forget.
Their tier list drop every Friday. We might move it earlier in the week. We're working on scheduling right now, but Yeah, I mean, Houston just got stomped out by the Minnesota Vikings, and I mean, the Jags got stomped out on national television by the Buffalo Bills. I'll tell you what, though, I'd rather get stomped out by the Bills than the Vikings.
No, yeah, I hear you on that though. That is
So
definitely a fact.
I feel like this might be a CJ Stroud like get back game. And
100%.
unfortunately, it's a division rival. And I'm willing to say that if the Texans win by, if let's say they win by 3 scores, right? Let's say they win by 17 points. There's going to be a lot of discussion about Doug Peterson getting fired. Like, my bet is he will probably be the first one gone.
No, for sure. I was gonna say it might happen like that.
Washington at Arizona. Arizona is a 3.5 point favorite at home. We both have Arizona. I was very close to picking the Commanders because we know that both these defenses are not that great. The offense for both these teams has looked pretty good. I will say this, though. I do think that Jonathan Gannon is going to be able to scheme up a little bit more to stop Jaden Daniels than what the Bengals did. And that's not any shade at Lou Anarumo. It's more just the Bengals defense stinks. While the Cardinals defense also stinks a little bit, they got fire in their gut. They are playing feisty. Like, it's a different kind of stink, you know? Like, they stink because the talent just isn't that good. The Bengals stink because we don't know why. Like, we don't know what's going on with them. So I would rather take a feisty team than a team that has talent and just is not good, not working.
No, yeah, absolutely. I hear you on that. And look, there are Arizona's at home, bouncing back off of a tough loss against a really good team. Yeah, I mean, look, it's the Cardinals. And I think like again back to yes, the Commanders have the better record right now, but you and me have more faith that the Cardinals are a real legit playoff team. But look, bottom line is the Commanders have a chance to shut us up and show us that maybe they're the real playoff team. That's kind of how I'm viewing this game.
The only game with a double digit spread, New England at San Francisco. San Fran is favored by 10.5. Now, we know that the 49ers aren't all the way healthy. There's a lot of teams that are not all the way healthy. Realistically, though, the 49ers should not allow a point by the New England Patriots. Like, it's like we saw what the Patriots offense looks like against a competent defense. Not good. Not good. But that's the thing is like the defense has not been that good this year if you want to look at, advanced statistics like EPA per play, everything like that. So maybe the Patriots score. I don't know. Like the 49ers are. What if I told you going into week 4, Dobbs, that the 49ers and the New England Patriots have the same record?
It is crazy. It is wild, Hunter. My thing is just though, again, back to it's kind of the theme of the day here. The trench warfare. And again, this is what I was gonna say. I understand the way the spread is the way it is because from the perspective of the odds makers, they're saying, yeah, Nick Bosa might have 7 sacks this game. Like
Yeah.
that,
Their offensive
that
line is
Niners D
bad.
line is going to collapse. And that pressure rate of as high as it is already, it might be above 55% after this week for the entire year. I mean, man, oh man, if the Niners just do what they're supposed to do from just even just literally the front four perspective, it's going to be a hell day for the Patriots.
Cleveland at Las Vegas. Cleveland is a 2.5 point favorite. You have Cleveland. Why are you taking Cleveland?
You know, this was a tough one, Hunter. Really, this was like the toughest one to pick because it's the battle of two teams that are just going through it and just in shit where with they're playing way lower than expectation. But I guess with that said, I'll leave it like this. And this is just the bottom line. Simple to me. Kind of like earlier with pedigree. I'm going to take Stefanski. At this point, right? It is what it is. I'm taking Stefanski and that's how I'm looking at it. You know what? And again, I don't, it's not that I don't have any faith in Antonio Pierce at this point. I do. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, Stefanski versus Pierce. they're making business decisions over there. And maybe those
That's
business decisions for the
crazy
Raiders
he
end up,
said that.
maybe they're going to come back and they're going to win. And if they do, well, all of a sudden the sky is already, if it wasn't already, it's completely falling in Cleveland. But, also trench warfare, still got a little bit more faith in the Browns. And that's how I'm going to leave it at that.
I really want to pick the Browns because I know they should win this game. But to me, that means to me they won't, right? Like the games they gotta win. I mean, they need to win every game, honestly, because of the fact that they have a very good roster. Their line has not been playing that they're great. Their offensive line has not been playing that great, but I do think there is a chance.
Yeah, their O-line is not.
There is a chance though that after what Antonio Pierce said last week about business decisions, Max Crosby's out, Devontae Adams out. I do think there might be like kind of a spurt of energy for this team. And we know the vibes in Cleveland are not great. So I think the Raiders can capitalize on that. So I'm going to take Gardner Minshew and the Las Vegas Raiders to beat the Cleveland Browns, which I feel bad for really anyone who has to watch that game. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like fun football, you know?
But I'm not going to fault your logic, Hunter. I get exactly where you're coming from as far as that's concerned, though. I kind of like your approach.
KC at the Los Angeles Chargers. We got a divisional game. KC is minus 7.5-point favorites. We both have KC. I mean, while I do really like what the Chargers have been doing this year, I do think when you get to these games where you have proven offenses, right? And we know Patrick Mahomes has not been playing the best football, but at the end of the day, we know what the Kansas City Chiefs are, and I just don't think this is a game where next year, depending on the additions that the Chargers make, I might take the Chargers. But this year, they are still laying that foundation, and I struggle to pick them in games versus teams that have pedigree like the Chiefs. Now, if they're going against a team that, even if there might be better on paper, doesn't have that established winning culture, I will always take the Chargers because of Jim Harbaugh and what they do on defense and offense.
No, absolutely. You're spot on there, Hunter. And it's again back to the pedigree, trench warfare. If I'm not mistaken, is Joe Alt is still questionable. Herbert's questionable. I know they're leaning towards playing Herbert. Herbert said he expects to play. But the bottom line is we expect the Chiefs to get rolling here soon. I think this is going to be one of those weeks where we start to see it get going here. And also Derwin James is out with the suspension. I mean, all things lean Chiefs, but I wouldn't be too surprised if the Chargers find a way to pull out, especially if Herbert plays. So, and that's just kind of how I feel about this game, but I had to go Chiefs.
Buffalo at Baltimore. Baltimore is a 2.5-point favorite. We both have Buffalo. I think at the end of the day, the way the Bills have been playing, they're probably the best team in football right now. And the Ravens were really, really close to being 0-3 if they, were able to hold on against the Cowboys. But at the end of the day, the Ravens, I don't know. They just don't feel like everything is cohesive over there. And with the way Buffalo has been beating teams, I struggle to see Baltimore putting it together. And I mean, if they're going to win, it's going to be by I think a last minute score. I really do think there's a chance that Buffalo could win by a touchdown or more here.
Yeah, I was going to say, to me, even the spread's a little bit disrespectful given how these two teams have played this year. The Bills are playing the best football in the entire league right now. Bills should win this game. Bills could dominate this game. They're winning the trench. They're winning trenches. I mean, that is what it is. Josh Allen, I'm taking over Lamar right now. Keep it simple, right?
Tennessee at Miami. Miami is a 1-point favorite. We both have Tennessee. Does Tennessee get their first win of the year in Miami, and why, Dobbs?
Well, yeah, I got Tennessee. You got Tennessee. I think, look, you know what? You got a lot of fight going on. I mean, even what's going on right now down there, with the flooding and all that, giving them some extra spiritual fight. Again, yeah, they haven't won a game. We're including some external factors, but besides just that, to keep it on just right internal stuff, things that they can control. Well, we know Tua is not playing. It's still, and again, still up for discussion. Yeah, if I read correctly here earlier, hold on, let me just double check this because I saw this notification come through. I want to make sure I'm not mistaken here. But I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, here we go. So Tyler Huntley's going to start for the Dolphins. And again, so his first start in this offense in the new system. I mean, Titans should win this game. Titans don't win this game. Sky's really falling over there in Tennessee.
Yeah, I think my thing is I don't know if I can pick the Dolphins for a single game until Tua is back. Like I already didn't believe in the Dolphins this year, and the fact that their quarterback, who they just gave a massive extension to, is not playing because he's on IR. Like, I already didn't think you were that good of a team. So if you don't have the quarterback you just made your franchise quarterback, I'm not going to pick you. But I do think, this is what I will say about Tennessee. I feel like, and this happens for a decent amount of teams, you become off-season champs, right, because of your additions. But a lot of the time, it's about how cohesive those additions are. Will Levis is not playing winning football. Snead is not playing winning football. Their offensive line is not playing winning football. So it's going to be really bad if the Titans start 0-4. Like, really, really bad, because basically you're eliminated from the playoffs at that point. And where do the wins come on your schedule, right? Like, where do they come from? So it's going to be a tough game, especially if you lose to Tyler Huntley, who he hasn't been on the roster all year, right? They like recently signed him.
That's exactly my point too, Hunter. Like, if you lose this game, it was already the sky is like falling, but man, oh man, a lot of questions are going to start to arise, and yeah, a lot of drama on top of that.
Seattle, Detroit, our last game. Detroit is a 3.5-point favorite. Why do you have Detroit winning this game, Dobbs?
Trench warfare, Hunter. Back to theme of the day. Trench warfare. At this point, pedigree of the Lions. I know it sounds weird, but Lions are kind of becoming pedigreed, right? And you know what? And my bottom line is that I've been on this tangent. The Seahawks haven't had to face, to me, real opposition yet.
That's fair.
This is a real opposition battle. If they win this game, trust me, Seahawks fans, my tune will change going forward. But I do think, especially at home, the Lions can win this pretty handedly. Even to say maybe the Lions a little bit disrespectful.
I have the Seahawks winning this game. And while I do think Detroit is objectively the better roster, the Seahawks have been playing better this year. And I know they haven't won versus a great opponent this year. But if we look back to the last couple of years, the Seahawks in Detroit have always had great games. For some reason, they have always been great games. And I feel like Seattle is kind of got the hot hand right now. The Detroit offense has been kind of like it's stuttering, like it's not fluid right now. And I just think with the way Seattle has been playing, yes, don't have a great point differential. I mean, it's plus 30, I believe, and it's one of the higher ones in the league. But when you look at who they played, it really should be higher. I do think that the energy coming from the past matchups and what they've been able to do this year might fall into this game. So I'm going to go Seattle.
Yeah, I can't fault you for that, but I'm going to tell you, Hunter, I think that this week might be the week to reinforce my narrative about how we need to pump the brakes on the Seahawks. But again, Seahawks fans, if I'm wrong, I'm a hand-up guy. I'm going to address it next time.
Thank you guys so much for watching. This has been our week for Pick'em. If you don't know ball and want to know ball, be sure to subscribe, leave a like. Let us know in the comments who you think will be the biggest upset this week. So excited to keep making content for you guys. Have a great rest of your Saturday. Enjoy college football. Enjoy the NFL.